from before.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, bro. Come on.
You always just have to red light. I think it's like. You always just have to red light. Defending, I think it's like. You always just have to red light. Defending, I think it's like.
Are we live? Of course we're live. People deluded. I'm back again. First things first. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And of course, in some cases, good night. One love to you if you're on Twitter. One love to you if you're on Twitch. Make sure you're subscribing with Amazon Prime. YouTube crew, please do me a favor and it doesn't cost a thing. Smash the like button and subscribe. Boost the YouTube algorithms. We're really going after 70,000 people. And I say we because it's a family settings here. We need to get that this year, people. We're not that far. I think we've got 58K and some change. In fact, looking in front of me, 58,214 subscribers. That's our madness. We're almost filling up the Emirates. It couldn't have been done without you lot, people. Speaking on that, for some reason, we've got a strike against this live stream. So one sec, people. Again, any comments, talking points, not only what you've got pre-stream, but anything that you lot have across what we talk about, make sure you have them in, people. Let me just see what these things are saying, because this ain't making no sense to me. What's all of this about? This is crazy, but okay, if that's what you lot want to do, all right. If that's how they're rocking, fair enough, man. The show must go on. I'm Gaio Perez or Osman, as they would have resale value. I'm not gonna lie, it is a bit of an added bonus to know about resale value and things. And when you look at our team, we brought Martin Odegaard for 30 odd million quid. How much is he worth? Saka, obviously, the true cost of Bukayo Saka isn't free because he's an investment and he's been in the academy, but we got him for free. How much is he worth? Declan Rice is only going to get better and better. William Saliba and Gabriel are going to be sold for sizable profits. And there's probably many people. And it's nice to know sell on value because, not everyone's going to be here forever. But when you're making the big ticket items, really and truly for all clubs, you're not expecting to really care about resale value. You're hoping the value is obviously achieving results. I like Osimhen. I don't think there's a striker that, and a key word, 100%. I don't think there's a striker that is 100. Any Arsenal fan, maybe internally within the club, but I don't think there's one striker target, whether that's Tony, Osimhen, Vlahovic, Sesko, Ivan Ferguson, that everybody's 100% convinced on. But Gaio Perez is decent. He played for Coventry, doing his thing at Sporting Lisbon. If we've done our groundwork and our due diligence, bring him to the carpet. Do you think Saka could play striker / centre forward? I mean, Saka can do whatever. He's a star boy, but let's just keep him out wide, innit? I'm more likely to invert Saka into some sort of midfielder before a forward, if I'm honest with you. I like Gaio Perez. He's played in England and will score goals. Big up. Social joins an inner circle because you lot are here without fail, as is Graham and Manny in the cut as well. Afternoon, DG. There's a real shortage of quality centre forwards as it currently stands. Nobody ticks all the boxes. It's whether you go for Premier League proven or take a gamble with someone younger. And that's where it kind of is really, because, there's a reality. Arsenal might not buy a striker. We might just buy another winger and, hope he brings goals in. We might buy a young striker that can be rotated in and get a decent amount of goals. And then you've got him, you've got Jesus, you've got all the wide players contributing, and then if you go for the Vlahovic's, the Osimhen's, the Tonys, the Ollie Watkins, all of them guys, you kind of expect immediate results in line with trying to win a major trophy. But I'm not against a Sesko or Ferguson who are going to, Sesko can be bought for, I believe, 50 odd million quid. Smash the like button. Ferguson's going to cost a crap load amount of money from Brighton. And I'm not necessarily against that necessarily, because while I would want a ready-made 30 league goal striker that makes us stronger for winning a league title, I don't mind if we sign a striker that can be groomed and developed into that. There'll be many twists and turns, bumps and bruises. But I think Mikel Arteta has shown that he can work with players. Martinelli, when, 2 years ago. So exclude this season and last year. You know, you go back to the season before that where we missed out to Spurs. Everyone was saying Martinelli needs to go and Arteta don't like him and blah, blah, blah. Arteta has shown that he can develop Martinelli. Saka is going from strength to strength. Odegaard, not everyone was 100% convinced. He's coming to the table. Declan Rice is a proven player in it. I don't think Arteta can claim quality for that, but he's getting assists, he's getting goals, he's showing stuff in another. Like Kai Havertz, I wouldn't say he's convinced, but at this moment in time, nobody really cares about his 65 millions. You know, Saliba went on loan. He's been reintegrated back. Big Gabriel is going from strength to strength. Nobody really wanted Ramsdale, who's now looks like he's leaving, and Benjamin White. They've gone from strength to strength. So Arteta has shown me enough to say he can develop like the higher quality talents into something. I haven't seen him just take a random academy player and groom them and whatnot, but I wouldn't be against the kind of youngest strikers. Sesko would be my first one. I like him a lot, man. Marcus Leonardo at Benfica looks cold. Just got there in Jan from Santos, and he's already doing his thing. A player we were linked with. Unpopular opinion, João Pedro from Brighton. I like him, but the jury's still out, man. No, there is no shortage. People don't want to gamble. People want guarantees that don't exist. Stop the excuses. I think that's a bit harsh. I do think, you know, what Graham is saying is that, you know, you go back to the early 2000s, it doesn't matter if there was, you know, European clubs, people fighting for Champions Leagues and Prems relegation. You could see strikers that could get goals. Now, I think it's more of a case of how the system's changed and, you know, the game's gone forward. It's less about individuals and more about the system. You obviously goalies, first thing we're saying in with keepers now is their ball playing ability. The same with centre halves. Strikers aren't necessarily the breadwinners at all clubs. Like, how many proven goal scorers are there? Like Harry Kane comes to mind. Haaland comes to mind. You know, Salah's not a striker per se, but he comes to mind. So I do agree. And, you know, I think it's a fallacy if Arsenal fans expect us to just get a striker that's just going to stand in the box and just wait for chances. It's not going to happen. You know, look how Havertz plays that role. Trossard plays that role. Gabriel Jesus. You need to bring goals, and we need that. And maybe there's something Arteta needs to tweak, and strikers need to be a bit selfless. But it's almost like playing as a forward for Arsenal. Goal scoring is the least, not the least of your worries, but the least of your worries. It's about how you link up play, you know, making certain runs, almost sacrificing yourself so Saka, Martinelli, all of these guys can exploit the space really and truly. But I do think to us common football fans, there's a lot of gambles, man. Availability is key, man. And that's the only thing that I would say waters down, with the exception of us losing to Porto, that waters down our kind of January, February, and that we're getting into that tough time of the season, as you lot can all see, and you just don't know who is going to be fit, man. I believe Osimhen is better than Tony, but I still think we need a bit more experienced players, so I'd pick Tony. I'd rather Osimhen over Ivan Toney. I know Ivan Toney, you know, Premier League experience. I do love his mentality. I don't like when he's saying F his club and that, but I like when he says, I believe I can score goals and all of that jazz. I like how he backs himself. Obviously, you know, he seems like he relishes chips on his shoulder, like when, you know, the world is against him for his own doing, his own gambling. He just seems like he's on this. And when he says, I believe I'm going to score every game, I am taking Gabriel Jesus' comments out of context, people. But when compare that to when Gabriel Jesus is sitting there and saying goals are not a strong point of mine, not dissing Gabriel Jesus, because when you read what he actually said, it shows self-awareness, and he didn't actually say he doesn't want to score. But we need that really and truly. So I'm not against it, but it's like Ivan Toney don't 100% convince me. Osimhen don't 100% convince me. Vlahovic don't 100% convince me. I would love Isaac, but the man's a sick note when it comes to fitness. You know, I'm happy I'm not Mikel Arteta, really. Tony is cold, but the closest thing worries me. You're madness. But yeah, I think Osimhen's better than Tony. But in Tony's defense, he's done it in this league, innit, really? And I do think Serie A, there is a tiny bit of tax when people are doing it over there. Receive on the half turn, twist, dribble, run 1-2 edge of the box, be very hard to handle. I mean, that would be lit, wouldn't it? Really and truly. Availability is one factor that is going against everyone now that FFP is in action. I mean, you know, in the ideal world, nobody wants to sign players in January, innit? You would have done what you're doing in the summer. We all know January is a reactive window. You're reacting to some players thinking they're not getting enough football. Other clubs, there might be bust-ups and things like, look at last Jan. Well, yeah, last Jan. Jorginho, it was made clear by Chelsea. You need to leave. We're looking for a midfielder. That's you. Obviously, the Mudryk thing, which we're going to get onto and smash the like button, people. It didn't bang. Trossard was at loggerheads with his coach De Zerbi at Brighton. Bang, it's a reactive window. While I am a bit disappointed that Arsenal didn't sign anyone, I think we all know we weren't bringing in a winger or a striker. I think we needed a midfielder. I do like the approach of, you know, if we can't get nothing, don't do something for no reason, essentially. And as I was saying before, I got lost in my own noise. That's the only thing that scares me, and the only thing that waters down this current period is that it's great that the teams have stepped up and players have come in and we've kept it moving. We've been dealing with injuries since August, but it would be nice to see some prolonged fitness from Zinchenko, Gabriel Jesus, Tomiyasu, Thomas Partey, actually Fabio Vieira, Jorginho, Emil Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson, because these lot pick up 1-2 week injuries and it goes over under the radar. Now, I would say for Mikel Arteta, the better we get as a club, definitely next season. I'm not saying everyone needs to get binned, but availability is the best thing you can have, really and truly. And we all know injuries happen and whatnot, people. So, yeah. Tony, oh, sorry, already seen that. Availability is the best ability you can have, man. And that's the thing, like, obviously, Liverpool is a bit unique. The last 2 years or so, they've been suffering with injuries, but generally, whatever they were doing, they're keeping everybody fit. City, 9 times out of 10, their key players are fit, and if not, they've got a wealth of options. With us, I do like the fact of, you know, Partey's a sick note, so we've had to get on with it and find internal solutions, or Arteta's had to do something, but we need players that are fit. Now, everybody can get injured. You go through that Arsenal team, people. Who could you really bet your life is going to be available for the vast majority? Oh, sorry, people. What's going on here? Can you lot still hear me? Oh, yeah, I'm back. So apologies, people. As I was saying, who can you really bet on is going to be fit for the duration of the season? As I said, everyone can get injured. Injuries happen. We've seen Saliba get a mad injury. I won't get on to Gabriel Jesus for the injury suffered at the World Cup. Martinelli's had a long-term injury. Timber, unfortunately, this year as well. But so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Who could you really bet your life that is going to be fit for the majority of the season? Bukayo Saka would be one for me. Big Gabriel would be another one. Declan Rice would be another one. Odegaard would be another one. I think I'll throw Martinelli into there, if I'm honest. And I know Odegaard had a concussion, but you get the point. I think you could throw Saliba in there. I know he had a mad injury, but I'll throw Saliba in there. You could throw the goalies in as well. Benjamin White, another one. Who else, really? Yeah, the goalies by default, but if our goalies get injured, I don't know what they're doing there, really. Simple as you say, Jesus Trossard and Ketia Havertz, those are not box strikers. Man wants Gaio Perez, also means put more money in other areas. Saliba backup, Zini backup, 3-8 wings backup. I don't think we're going to get a Zinchenko backup per se. You never know. If you go and get that Hato brother from Ajax who can play centre back and left back, then that's an option. But I don't think we're going to get a backup for Zinchenko. I think with Tomiyasu, with maybe even Kyrgios showing his quality, obviously Timber, I think we're fairly stocked at fullback. But I wouldn't be against, personally, another versatile centre defender, better yet, coming into the club, where it kind of ties into what you're saying with Saliba. There are times, you know, mainly towards the end of the year before we had that, you know, madness where our season kind of was on pause. We weren't winning games. There's been times when you're thinking, oh, it would be nice to Saliba and Benjamin White get the night off. We need depth, man. You can never have too many players. Personally, I don't think we need a Zini backup because we can cope with Kyrgios. And I mean, if Kyrgios keeps convincing, you show that, you know, you might not be ahead of Tomiyasu, Timber, or any of them guys at left back when fit. You might never get ahead of Gabriel, but if you can show you're a sturdy backup option, you're gonna, you know, it gives us all confidence, really and truly. Man is lucky that Deckers is a sturdy option. If we ain't got a midfield and have to rely on Jorginho and Mo, have to be honest, we're finished. Well, we're in trouble if anything happens to Benjamin White, really. Benjamin White, Declan Rice, you're right. That's the one benefit with bringing in Declan Rice beyond the obvious is we've got a physical man. And one thing I like about Declan Rice, you know, I'm a big Jorginho fan. I've always said that I think he's a better signing than giving credit for. But it has to be certain conditions. There's certain players in this team. It's certain game states and certain conditions. You know, Zinchenko, you don't really want to see him if he's playing against a very good winger and stuff. But if the sun's shining at the Emirates, bulk of possession, you're in. You know, sometimes there's games for Martinelli and Trossard depending on their strengths and many others. How many players, regardless of, you know, what Arteta wants to do tactically, etc., are always there? You know, Declan Rice, it doesn't matter what Arteta wants to do, you're going to be there. Saka, you're going to be there. Odegaard, you're going to be there. I think with Jorginho, obviously you'd love him to be a bit younger, a tiny bit more mobile. But one thing that goes against him, I've said it in the last streaming, is that, like, when it's a chess match, when it's like, obviously the managers are not playing, but when it's like managers versus managers, the Peps versus Artetas, the Klopps versus Artetas, the Eddie Howe's versus Arteta, I think that they're the games Jorginho does well in, when it's more like a chess match. When it's the typical Premier League end-to-end, very open kind of stuff, he's in trouble, as kind of shown against Spurs in North London, in the North London derby. You know, him and Zinchenko showed their frailties at Chelsea away from home. It's certain conditions and even certain partners, because there are some games you got to get away with it. But if Declan Rice isn't in there, It's not that Jorginho's a bad player, but who's next to him really and truly. Get me some top-class midfielders, another winger, and round out the defense before the striker. Listen, I think we need to do all. Good evening, better yet, to the South Africans. With the right back inverting, Saliba right centre-back, Gabriel and Kyrgios centre-back and left centre-back when in possession is solid, especially with big Gabriel at centre. Kyrgios can hold that position. I hope so, man. I think Kyrgios going in the right direction. I still think the jury's out for me personally. But yeah, I was curious. If Jesus goes, the obvious upgrade is Alvarez. Less magic, chaos, 1v1, maybe link up, but more runs, carries, and shots. People won't like it, but Alvarez, Havertz, Odegaard, man, that pressing. I mean, Julian Alvarez, you got no reason to leave Man City. But maybe if we could talk to him and say, you could get some real appreciation here. You're never going to get the appreciation that Haaland has. Then why not, really? But it's a dream, man. It's a dream. Jesus being injury prone, going to make us buy another number one striker. I think we need another number one striker because we need to score goals. Saka could be a new Eden Hazard as a cam in behind strikers. Buy a top right winger and we could be terrifying. I think he could play inside, but yeah, let's just keep Saka on the flanks, man. First live show, it been a minute. Lobo, nice to have you back, man. And Josh as well, man. Again, the content's always there. Alvarez would be lit. They're the kind of smart signings you would love to have seen Arsenal make once upon a time, because, for as much as City spend money on the Grealish and all these things, they have made some smart additions. Like, you look at someone like Ake, respectfully to Kyrgios, because there's no link. Imagine if we had a little Ake in the squad, a little Julian Alvarez from River Plate on the cheap. They'd make the world of difference, really. I know he's not flavour of the month, and Doku's quite raw, and Rio Ferdinand jumped the gun and said he's better than Saka, but even a little Doku, just based on the skill set, could have been utilised. If I'm completely honest, how much would City sell Alvarez for in this market? Bro, like you're saying, it's 80, 100, it's something stupid. He's a World Cup winner, a treble winner, a key player, whether he's playing up front or in the 10. He's, one of the players that could be there for the future. I don't know if Haaland's got other ambitions, but Haaland, Foden, Alvarez, these guys are going to be there. Stupid money, really. And I'm sure he's just signed a new extension. I love Alvarez, top 10 favorite player in the world. Ben White is defo shout for a player important. He's fluid in 3 positions he plays right now. Benjamin White's never going to get his flowers, man. He's never going to be the most talked about player at Arsenal. He's never going to be the best defender in the league, but I think he deserves a lot of plaudits, if I'm completely honest with you. But yeah, looking at the headlines and news and all these things, Tab Police, look away now because we've got a fair amount to cover. Keep your talking points, opinions, and all these things coming, people. If you're on YouTube, smash the like button. Now, The Athletic have come out with an article talking about Mudryk. Now, I'm subscribed to The Athletic for you guys, so we'll go into it, but some sound bites initially. Edu and Arteta were utterly convinced of Mudryk's talent. When the deal did not materialize, Arsenal's understanding was that the player was devastated. Mudryk still has admirers at Arsenal who believe his talent can still be unlocked. I've always said I still think Mudryk can get it right, but I am enjoying his downfall because he signed for them lot. Yeah, people. So that's that with Mudryk. Allegedly, when the deal did not materialize, Arsenal's understanding was that the player was devastated. Mudryk still has admirers at Arsenal who believe his audacious talent can still be unlocked. But as far as joining Arsenal goes, that ship appears to have sailed. Now, I don't think they're going to let him go, but in theory, we've been buying players from Chelsea. Arteta wanted this guy. Could we get a discount? Could this be mind games from Mudryk to drive down his price tag? I don't know, people. But he does fit the profile of you. When you look at Pedro Neto, obviously the man in question, and Rafinha, Arteta seems to want a specific profile of winger if they are to arrive. Then again, if we sign a striker, Jesus, if fit, could play out there. Apparently as well, people, in the case of Mudryk, Arsenal were prepared to smash their transfer record in January 2023, but matching Chelsea's 86 million offer, albeit with a different payment schedule and add-ons on that shack to the next, considered less realistic. So it shows Arsenal are prepared to flex their muscles. Should we skip to the bulk of what this means, people? Arsenal turned their attention to Caicedo, their failure to agree a January deal with Brighton and Hove Albion, and the decision to return their focus to their primary target, Declan Rice, allowed Chelsea to sign Caicedo in the summer. Many Arsenal supporters were initially frustrated about losing both players to a London rival, particularly in the case of Mudryk. I was more vexed with Caicedo because in hindsight, I don't think him and Rice would have worked, but it would have been a good option. That was a transfer saga that unfueled over months, with the player publicly expressing his admiration for Arsenal and manager Mikel Arteta. Having fit, oh well, where is the bulk of stuff? We know, long story short, we know we didn't get Mudryk and Caicedo. We got Trossard and Jorginho. Apparently, Brighton were none too impressed with Arsenal's negotiation tactics and talks over Caicedo, but Arsenal had successfully brokered a deal for the Ecuador international. Paying a further 105 million for Rice would have been improbable. There is an alternate reality in which Man City were granted a free run at the former West Ham captain. With Rice in their ranks, the Premier League might already be in possession. Fair enough. Oh, I'm just trying to find what's relevant to us, people. Here we go. It looks like we've got this. So yeah, right now we know we've got the better investment. Arsenal's belief. Sorry, but it would be too simplistic to put this down to foresight on Arsenal's behalf. They really wanted Mudryk and Caicedo. In the case of the Ukraine forward, Arsenal were prepared to smash their transfer record. We've seen that. Edu and Arteta were utterly convinced of Mudryk's talent. They believe he could provide them with a third flying winger to complement Martinelli and Saka. So if Chelsea really need to sell before June or January or something, could this be something to revisit? Probably not, but we're going to definitely see headlines suggesting such. And perhaps had he arrived at Arsenal, we would be watching a very different player. The step from Ukrainian football to the Premier League is steep, but Arsenal had a clear plan for the winger. They knew he would require patience and development. Who knows how Mudryk might have fared in a more stable environment? That is true. Again, we know he didn't hide his preferred destination, people. Apparently, he still has admirers at Arsenal, as we know. Caicedo, we're at where we're at, really and truly. We all know Mudryk is still young. We all know Caicedo is too young. Right now, it looks like dodged bullets, but a year from now, this could all look completely different, people. So that's all that. Again, people, make sure I've been spamming you lot with content, Again, big up Harry. I did a video with Harry. Which one's this? Big up Jay Ferguson. We spoke here, people. So again, when the stream is done, you can binge watch the content. Big up Babs, because we had Babs yesterday. I'm sure you wouldn't have been up to date with that. And shout out Alex, aka The Different Knock, because I had him earlier today as well. Big up all of them. Make sure you're following all of them. Apparently, Team News and Tix has said Arsenal's understanding that the player was devastated. When someone calls you in tears as they are on the way to the airport, in tears saying, can't you do something? I want to play for you. I'd probably understand they were devastated too. And I mean, to be fair, where ITKs go, he does have a bit of a hit with that. So if Mudryk was crying, he really didn't want to go Chelsea, really. On top of an unstable environment, the player don't want to be there. But you tough rat, you're going to have to get on with it. Allegedly, with Fabrizio Romano, where Ruben Neves is concerned, said Arsenal asked his agent about a potential move, but it was less advanced than Barca. Arsenal decided to leave talks as it emerged that Partey would be staying. So again, maybe we anticipated in the summer Partey would be going. He then said in the end it didn't happen because Wolves only wanted to sell for a fee in excess of 40 million euros, and the best proposal was from El Hilal. Now, you would have seen a couple of days ago, Ruben Neves spoke about Barcelona and whatnot. Once again, Mudryk was in tears on the phone to Arsenal, asking them to do something as he was on his way to the airport following his collapsed transfer to Arsenal. I mean, you could have said no, but it does feel that Mudryk deal, like obviously signing for Chelsea, moving to the Prem, signing in London is great, but it does feel like he was kind of bullied to do that. It felt a bit Suge Knight-esque, It kind of felt there was external forces like, no, you're signing for Chelsea, like you ain't, something might happen to you if you just don't comply. Allegedly, AFC Camden is saying Timber is now back in full training, which again doesn't mean he's ready to play anytime soon, but it's a step in the right direction, which I'm here for. We've been linked with Gaio Queiroz again, people. Apparently, many European giants have already set aside a spot for such people, and the scouts going to watch him as well. You'd imagine everybody's looking. AC Milan have been name dropped. Arsenal have been name dropped. Apparently, Ivan Toney, Osimhen, and Xerxes, as well as Victor, have been linked with us. Apparently, Chelsea have watched him at several times. So he's got a lot of interest. Sporting Lisbon are due to make some serious wonga. Arsenal will move to sign a central forward this summer with Ivan Toney, Victor Osimhen, Joshua Xerxes, and Victor Gaio Queiroz among those the Gunners have looked at. That's of the Daily Mail, Sammy Motebell. Apparently, we're trying to manage Gabriel Jesus' workload to avoid further injury flares, people, which is obviously music to our ears, people. Oh, it's the same article. So, yeah, Arsenal will manage Gabriel Jesus through the season finale to avoid further flare-ups of his persistent knee problems. The Gunner striker hasn't played since January the 30th due to a knee issue, though he was an unused substitute in Saturday's win over Newcastle. And while Jesus is hopeful of making a playing return soon, Mail Sport understands Arsenal medics are taking a cautious approach to his workload to ensure the ongoing knee complaint doesn't worsen. As you know, Jesus has suffered with fluid in the knee. Sounds painful. And it is a situation that needs attention in between games. The Brazil international has been dogged by knee problems since joining Arsenal ahead of last season. So then there's always been an ongoing thing. Smash the like button and let me know your thoughts. And those injury concerns are among the factors behind the club's move to sign a new central forward this summer, with Ivan Toney, Victor Osimhen, Josh Rezerski, and Victor Gyökeres among those the Gunners have looked at. Which one would you like, people? Scrolling all the way down, Arsenal also look to sign a new central midfielder, with Martin Zubimendi among the club's targets. An out-and-out winger to supplement Saka and Martinelli would also be considered. Meanwhile, Arsenal hope Tomiyasu and Zinchenko could both be available for Monday's trip to Sheffield United after recovering from injuries, while Thomas Partey, is also nearing a full return from groin surgery, having been back in training. So when you couple that in with Timber, hopefully these guys get fit and stay fit. But such is life. The minute these guys come back, other guys are going to pick up knocks. Such is life, people. Allegedly, Arsenal have reported a 52.1 million loss for the financial year of 2022-23. While that is up from the 45.5 figure in the previous year, the club put that down to impairment write down on certain player registrations, which totaled 18.1 million. Arsenal say the loss before tax, excluding the impact of exceptional items, amounted to 34 million, having been 45.5 million a year ago. There was a significant rise in match day revenue. Obviously, we're playing all right as a club. People want to be at the ground again. It's gone up to around 100 million quid, and that's beyond the 100 million mark for the first time in nearly a decade, because we're back in the champs. And as we said there, people, and obviously, the women, rightly so, are now starting to get games at the Emirates. So these things help. Broadcasting revenue rose at the club as well, which, again, we're not finance people, but the more money we get in and retain and invest significantly, the better and healthy the club is in all aspects. And hopefully a lot of that, at some point, that money can filter towards transfers and all of those kind of things. Arsenal urged to beat Man United, Chelsea to Serie A striker who would fit in Arteta's team perfectly. So this is in relation to Vlahovic, people. Some journalists have said, here's a team in brackets Arsenal. How many goals have they scored? 25, 26 in 6 games in the Premier League. But they didn't score in Porto. Maybe it was a one-off, but maybe that one player is missing when Saka and Martinelli are off it. That central forward, given the amount of goals they score, you could not say is not needed, but I don't know. Vlahovic, to me, fits in the team before maybe Ivan Toney and Osimhen, and we did try to get Vlahovic. But one does wonder what Arsenal would have looked like had we got Caicedo, Lisandro Martinez, Conde, Raya initially, Vlahovic, Rafinha, and Mudryk, players that we know we've tried to go after, we haven't brought. Some of it is money and some of it is age in those, but I like what I see, a left-footed player that would fit nicely there. Apparently this season, Vlahovic has 15 goals in 23 appearances, and at 24, there is still plenty of room for improvement, and Arteta could probably craft him into something. Once again, Gabriel Jesus' knee injuries and on top of that, probably a lack of goals should see us go into the market. Again, when it comes to Ivan Toney, sometimes they're saying we're moving away from him, then we're going for him. There's a lot of whispers, really. Apparently, this article said Arsenal would love to sign Toney this summer, and there are 3 other players they're also keeping tabs on. Xerxes is a name that's aggressively being linked with us. We all know Osimhen, and I've probably said his name about 20 times in the stream, but Gyökeres. So that's that. What have we got here? Arsenal will look to sign an out-and-out winger, and a midfielder. We have been linked with Zubimendi. That would be lit, but Barca and Bayern Munich are also interested. Bring him to the carpet, really and truly, man. Apparently, what's this? It was revealed how much Pepe cost the club. He cost us significantly more than 100 million. Well, yeah, because you bought him for big money, you put him on big wages, had to pay him wages and had to pay him off. And he weren't playing. We didn't get a return. We should have never. It's a weird one because I don't think Pepe was a bad player, but it just didn't happen. It did feel when we won the FA Cup that there was going to be, light at the end of the tunnel, but Mikel Arteta had other plans. Apparently, Arsenal still want Mudryk, and Fenerbahce are eyeing up Eddie Nketiah. I don't think Eddie's going to go to Turkey, but it is what it is. Apparently, Arsenal are reportedly planning a shock move for Chelsea flop Mudryk, who has been named the most talented player in the world. Okay, there's plenty to cover, so let's jump right in. What is there to say? Arsenal, according to reports in Spain, Arsenal online in a shock move for Chelsea flop Mudryk. Boy, Boy, I can't lie. Calling him the most talented unique player in the world. They did a number on Chelsea and it absolutely robbed them. Where's this Eddie Nketiah stuff though, man? Let's see what's going on here. Fenerbahce are keeping a close eye on Eddie Nketiah's situation at Arsenal ahead of the summer transfer window. He's been heavily linked with an exit, and he finds it, there's been times where Eddie's been the first name on the team sheet, but right now you're behind Trossard, you're behind Jesus, and you're behind Kai Havertz in the pecking order up front. You bring in another striker as peak, and Eddie Nketiah is probably someone that we need to sell. He's been linked as a potential replacement for Edin Dzeko as well, because he's going to leave in the summer. So is there any real legitimacy from Fenerbahce to get a move done? Subscribe and hit the like button, or is it just paper talk? I don't know. I reckon Eddie's more likely to stay in the Prem, or if he was to go to another country, I think it's more that the Spains and the Italys and the Frances and things like that. And it'd be interesting to see what happens with Eddie, because as you know, Crystal Palace failed with a January offer for Nketiah, with Arsenal rejecting the South London club's proposal, and they could rival Fenerbahce in the race to sign the English forward this summer. Borussia Dortmund are also admirers of Nketiah, although it remains to be seen if they act on their interest. That could be a good move. Arsenal have big hopes for 21-year-old forward Mika Bereth, currently at Stuttgart, and selling Nketiah in order to promote Bereth into the first team next season is deemed a very realistic possibility. That's true. I reckon Mika Bereth is going to play his way into the shop window and then be sold, but I'd love for him to be made. I'd love for him to make it at Arsenal. So yeah, that's intriguing hearing that. We've already gone over that. Arsenal received brilliant Pedro Neto update. Man United will hate. Arsenal and Spurs are deemed more likely destinations than Man United for Pedro Neto this summer, according to reports. As you know, Neto, 23 years of age, doing well for Wolves, been linked with City, Liverpool, Arsenal, United, Spurs, Chelsea, and a couple of teams from abroad. He's got 2 goals and 9 assists so far in the Premier League. He has an asking price of 80 million, which I know there's Premier League tax, but that's a madness. According to Ben Jacobs, he said, I think that Arsenal and Spurs are more likely destinations for Neto at this point. We know the Tottenham interest is historical, and I would expect Arsenal to consider Neto this summer as one of a few targets in that position. He's going to cost too much. You'd imagine we're significantly going to invest in a striker and maybe a centre midfielder. If there's a deal to be done with a winger for the right price and it makes sense, I think we could get it done. I think the Neto thing is a myth now, people. They will be but both of the North London clubs will also be aware that Wolves, because he's still well contracted, will be looking for a club record sale. Fair enough. He's a prized asset. They will be firm on the price. You can understand why in an inflated market where many attackers and midfielders have gone for in excess of 70 million. And when you look at the fees paid for Mudryk and Anthony, Pedro Neto is quote-unquote Prem proven. Rightly so. Wolves are going to say, we know everybody's got money. We're in a day and age where Bournemouth are going toe-to-toe with AC Milan for players. It's not necessarily what a player's worth. It's what you can hustle, essentially. That's why in January, you're hearing 100 million for Ivan Toney. It's absolutely crazy, really and truly. Apparently, the agent of Fiorentina wonder kid Michael Canyonde has confirmed that Arsenal and other Premier League clubs have been scouting the right back. Yes, Arsenal want him, but Fiorentina must not be worried. There's a contract, and Michael is happy in this club and in this team. Obviously, several Premier League clubs have scouted him, but it's normal and is a part of life and football. Fiorentina tied him down with a nice contract and many bonuses, so we want to do well for them. So fair enough, man. He's a right back, can play right wing back as well as right back. A youth international of Italy, 19, so he fits what we're doing. And, it's more depth at fullback, so why not? We've gone over the Pepe stuff. We've gone over that. See, I try not to miss anything for you lot, people. A few days ago, when we played Newcastle, Edu said, when asked about our potential plans, and I've gone over this before, but I recognize not everybody would have known, we now start to plan ahead for the summer on recruitment, and there are a lot of things happening. I understand what the fans are asking for, but we already have our targets. We have planned a lot ahead, and I'd be worried if we don't score a lot of goals and if we're not creating chances, which is the opposite because we create a lot and score a lot of goals. The plan is to try to get better every year, and I think we're in a good moment. Let's see if we can keep improving. Then he said, people, I think if you see the type of players we have at the moment is players which have a big commitment to the club, which is very important. So the way we transmit to the fans, transmit to the people, our commitment. Sometimes you can lose, you can win games. It's all part of sport. Helps us perform the best way possible and show the passion we have for the club and try to win as many games as we can. Many times in certain conversations to recruit the players, you don't see the character of the player, or the character of the players does not fit well with what we are trying to do. And you have to move on and try to find what we're really looking for. If you see all those signings we've made since we started together, Everyone is almost the same: young, energetic, passionate, and good talents with big, beautiful futures ahead of them. Hopefully, we can achieve something with them, people. So, moving through all of this, from one Portuguese player, Pedro Neto, to Ruben Neves. What has been said here, people. I don't think Neves is talking about his move from Wolves, people. I don't think I left too soon. I left at the right time. A footballer's career is short. Sometimes you have to put your feelings to one side to look after yourself and your family. The transfer wasn't as simple as the one to El Hilal. Wolves were in the English second division. Everything was different, and it was my first experience abroad. A daughter was born that year. It was a very big chance. It went well. I look back and I'm 200% sure it was the best decision I could have made. And he's also, again, as we went over earlier, spoke about his failed move to Barcelona and Arsenal. I'm really on the Pepe thing today, innit, people? Man United and Arsenal ready to make offers for 22-year-old midfielder Onana is on the agenda again, people. He's also been linked with Barcelona. Allegedly, Everton want 51 million. I hear it. He's 22, he's Premier League and that, but is he more value for money than a Zubimendi, than a Douglas Luiz, or several others? I don't know. You lot let me know your thoughts. I do like Onana, though. Arsenal have announced their February men's player of the month and the women's as well. You've got Kai Havertz, Odegaard, Rice, and Saka. Who would I give it to? I would say I'll give it to Kai Havertz because you've exceeded my expectations. I know the other three are great players. I think Saka has been quality. Declan Rice has been quality since the beginning of the season. Odegaard has really found the purple patch and is a quality player. But I expect them to kind of do that. With Kai Havertz, my expectations are significantly less. So I'll give it to Kai Havertz. Big him up, long may it continue. 3 of our Premier League games in April have been rearranged, people. The month begins when we welcome Luton Town to North London, and that match has been moved to Wednesday, April the 3rd, with a 7:30 kickoff time. It will be live on TNT Sports. The following weekend, we head to Brighton. Oh, Brighton away is a techie one, isn't it? And while that match will remain on Saturday, April the 6th, it now has a 5:30 kickoff to allow it to be beamed on to the national live from the Amex Stadium by Sky Sports. Exactly a week later, we'll be in action against Aston Villa at the Emirates Stadium, which will now also be at 5:30 start and shown by Sky Sports. Oh, you're playing on my birthday. However, if the Villains reach the Europa Conference League quarterfinals, that game will be moved to Sunday, April the 14th, with a kickoff time to be determined. Please, as much as I love Arsenal, I don't want it on my birthday. Please, Aston Villa, I'm supporting you for 90 minutes. Go through to the Conference League quarterfinals. Emre, that's your bread and butter European competition. But now that I said that, boy, it is what it is. Should we see what else has been said? Oh, Antonio Silva from Benfica links. A lot of money to potentially pay for someone that isn't going to immediately take Saliba or Gabriel's spot in the team. We went over this. We have been linked with a backup goalie. Jorginho's agent has spoken. Wait, what? Gabriel Jesus. Let's see what other rumors are here, people. What's this? Apparently, Gabriel Jesus has revealed he plans to join Brazilian side Palmeiras, but not until he becomes a Champions League winner at Arsenal. Fair enough. When your career ends, you want to go back to where you started, people. He said, Arsenal was a giant that was sleeping that woke up. I love that. I wasn't so aware before I arrived here of how huge this club is. I'm in love with Arsenal. I'm more mature now. I'm established and 100% focused on football. I still have 3 dreams: to win the World Cup, win the Champions League, and then the Libertadores with Palmeiras. Hopefully you can reach all of that, my guy. Jorginho's agent has suggested that as many as 5 Serie A clubs could sign Arsenal midfielder, including Lazio, Juventus, and Napoli. And that's where I think it'll be interesting with what happens with Jorginho. I think Partey is going to leave. Jorginho, he's doing the coaching thing. He's valued off the field. He's got a nice little role, and he's accepting that he's a squad player, and he's obviously got quality. And I'm sure him and his wife or kids, they're happy in London. But he's got a lot to consider. Does he stay at Arsenal for 1 more year and then leave next year? You'd imagine there'll be no talk of an extension. It will be taking out that option in his contract, and maybe there's even a coaching gig for you at the end of it, people. Maybe he goes back to even Brazil, where his adopted nation is Italy, but maybe he goes back to Brazil. Maybe he wants to return to Italy and the way of life that provides, or maybe there'll be a big offer from Saudi. I mean, as an agent, you're always going to talk up your clients, in it. Really, you're never going to say nobody's not interested, really and truly. Apparently, his agent himself has said, I can see him fitting in well at Lazio with Sarri, or at Juventus with the great director, but also at Napoli, Inter, and AC Milan are 2 great clubs. Roma has never been an option. Fair enough. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. Arsenal, Man United, and Chelsea interested in young Ajax star. It's not Hatto, so I'm not really interested. But apparently, these three clubs are reportedly interested in signing the young Ajax goalkeeper. I mean, Man United have got two keepers. They got the Turkish lad and Onana. It don't make sense. Chelsea, on paper, got Kepa, got Petrovic now. And obviously, I'm missing someone else out. Sanchez, Arsenal, Ramsdale's probably going to cut. So you could be that, really. Apparently, the 22-year-old has been shining for Ajax at this moment in time. And his performances have caught the eye of several of the Premier League's biggest clubs, people. Just watching doesn't mean we're moving for him. Naturally, we probably anticipate Aaron Ramsdale is to depart. So it makes sense. So fair enough, really and truly. We'll have to see what happens there. Apparently, Arsenal have been watching him from his Eintracht Frankfurt days. Arsenal, Chelsea joined by Real Madrid in pursuit of 100 million star trio scouting plans revealed. Arsenal and Chelsea are keen on signing Benfica star Antonio Silva. The 20-year-old is considered to be one of the best young players in European football. Got a lot to work on, but I like him a lot, really and truly. You never know. Maybe Gabriel, at the start of this season, when his head was turned, he might have left. Maybe that could have been an angle, but it doesn't make sense. Obviously, I would love 3 top quality defenders, but if you're going to dislodge that defensive duo that we've got already, I don't know. And to be honest with you, does it make... listen, if Arteta wants to do it, great. I'm all for good players, but does it make sense spending crazy money at centre-half or in midfield or up front? Like, where's the other regions that need significant investment? I wouldn't say we're sorted in defence, but... And I hate to do this when everybody's fit thing because it's an illusion, but when everybody's fit or even not, we're all right. Kyrgios finding his feet. Zinchenko has some good and bad moments. Timber, when he's back, we know that's a hit. Tomiyasu is quality. Benjamin White, Saliba, Gabriel. We're cooking. Raya's there. On paper, Ramsdale's there. Our defensive unit's all right. If we could bring in one more versatile defender, I'm all for that. Midfield, I've only got 100% conviction in Declan Rice. I think certain games is for Jorginho. Partey, a quality player, but you're never there. Got time for El Nene, but you need to move. And then obviously you got the Fabio Vieira, Smith Rose, Kai Havertz. They can play in the 8s, but are they 100% convincing? I don't know, people. So I just think this is clickbait, if I'm completely honest with you, but we'll have to see. Once again, people, shameless, again, notifications, bells should be on because there's always content. You don't need to rate me, Again, we're not playing for, well, not a week, but it's going to be a quiet week for Arsenal because we're not playing until Monday. And I've made sure the content keeps ticking on for you guys. So yeah, please smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and check out the rest of the other things, people. But yeah, that was a bit of a long read. Let me get back into what you lot have been saying in the comments, man. Big up you lot, man. If my gaffer wants to play, I want the player. I'll always advocate. If Arteta wants to play and I can't believe it, fair enough. I'm not going to blindlessly back, but I'll have my concerns and then we'll document as time goes on, really and truly. City spent 50 million on Ake. Just get it done, man. Have you talked about how awkward and uncomfortable Saliba looks closing / building from the right flank? That and the fact that our back four has been worse. I disagree with that, Cesar, man, but I'm going to look out for that. Big up, DG, tuning in at the start. Appreciate all the content you're putting out. Definitely up there with the best in this I'm appreciate that. I was trying to be the best I could be for you guys, man. I ain't trying to do the competition thing. If you read the story surrounding the deal at the time, you will see that Mudryk was pressured to sign for Arsenal. 100% he got, 100%. Mudryk coming like he's a drug mule or something, like he's been coerced to go and bring drugs somewhere or do something crazy or whatever, man. Like, looking back, it's like he was kind of bullied into that, if I'm honest with you. DG, if Arsenal went after Xavi Simons, where do you think Arsenal would utilize him? What positions can he play? I think he'd be a good option out wide, and I think he'd be an option in the 8, really, if I'm honest with you. Pep was trying to add Bellingham and Rice to treble winners. He's a sick man for real, man. The idea was for them to close it. Oh, yeah, exactly. Had that. DG, the collabs have been excellent, bro. Appreciate that, man. And looking back, you are right, because when Mudryk signed for them, Chelsea, and he was pictured around the ground, he's doing his interview, maybe he was shy and stuff, but he didn't look happy, man. It was proper Suge Knight-esque, man. How much money do you think his agent, and there's probably a couple people we don't even know a part of the deal that ate from that, man. 70-odd million quid. So much back pocket things must have been happening there, man. If I'm completely honest. Would we be a better side with Mudryk and Caicedo instead of Trossard and Jorginho? I'm not sure. Everything works out for a reason, man, because there's a reality. We could have signed Caicedo and Mudryk and they could have been better. They could have stunk up the place. We don't know. One thing I would say with Mudryk is I'm not saying he would have got 20 goals and 20 assists, but Arteta was convinced our environment, our stability, our way of playing, everything we're doing is significantly more stable than Chelsea. Everybody looks crap at Chelsea by their own standards. Cole Palmer's doing his thing, but if they were stable, how much better could he be? Enzo don't look like a World Cup winner. Caicedo don't look like the Brighton guy. Sterling ain't look like the Liverpool and City one. You know, so there's a tax that I think has to be applied to all of them, if I'm honest with you. Because let's be honest, I don't want to praise Chelsea, but many of these players are not bad. You know, if you offered, you know, these players to, you know, if Chelsea said, you know, if you, just for argument's sake, you got all the other managers in the Premier League in the room and said, have your pick of the Chelsea players, I think Arteta would want a couple of them, and I think many others. But something's gone wrong there. You never know, but everything works out for a reason. Trossard and Jorginho have proven good stopgaps of sorts, man. I'd spend 40 on Neto max. I'll push it to 50, maybe 60 with add-ons. I do think the time's gone for Eddie. Crazy that Pepe still has more contributions than Sancho, Anthony, Mudryk, and Madueke combined. These are the guys they compare to Thingy, to Bukayo Saka and that. And he still has 5 more goals than Pedro Neto. That's why it's weird, man. But Neto's never fit. Deluded, who would be your ideal striker target? I don't have an ideal one, you know. I don't want to sound like I'm sitting on the fence and do your question a disservice, but I wouldn't say I'm 100% convinced in anyone. I do like Sesko. I do like Osimhen. I'm not against Tony. It's not my first choice, but I'm not against it. I would like to revisit Vlahovic just on the basis of I'm not 100% convinced by him, but similar to the failed pursuit of Mudryk, Arteta, you was onto him. So, you know, Arteta can get things wrong. Maybe he's sitting there saying, boy, I wanted Vlahovic. Boy, it's a good thing it didn't. But maybe there's something there. And he's 23, 24. He's quote unquote impressionable. We've got 83 likes, people. Can we get to 100? You lot are violating. Lobo, appreciate you for subscribing with Amazon Prime as well, man. I just voted for Starboy Saka. He's winning the vote with 56.89%. DG make a Saka edit video. I've got some thumbnails. To be fair, you know, within the next few days, I'm got a video on Saka, on Partey, that I'm going to review them up for February. And there's definitely something else, man. I'm trying to get them out or get them ready for you lot, man. Jorginho swap deal for Vlahovic plus cash could bang. I think the Juventus just want the bread, man. If we win champs, we need to try and get Endrick. He ain't even got his feet in the door at Madrid, man, really. With Mbappe coming in, I can't see how Endrick gets game time. He's going to have to find it. DG, I'm shedding tears after learning that Mudryk was flogged to Chelsea. Oh, you're mad, man. You tough, right? You tough, right? But yeah, he got bullied there. Hella brown envelopes. I'm happy Timber's back in training, but being back in training, you know, how match fit are you going to be? When are you going to make the match day squad? I'm personally taking it easy, man. Big up Schema with Timber. Just read the news breaking. Arsenal received big injury boost. Timber is set to appear soon. Hope so, man. Watkins could cook. Do you know what? I said it before. I'd rather Ollie Watkins over Ivan Toney. I think he's got more to his game, if I'm completely honest with you. Like, if you want Ivan Toney, I think you should want Watkins. I think he's got more to his game. The problem is, you know, anyone that talks to Ivan Toney, he's saying, I want to leave. The manager said he can cut, or he will cut in the summer. The sporting director's there. He's got new agents. He's going to have 12 months left on his deal. Toney seems one of the more attainable strikers in the world, in the footballing world at this moment in time, which is why I think, yeah, you know, you look at Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, they've all been linked with him. Is it a thing where you dot I's and cross T's with Toney's camps now, and then slightly is snaky, but you start talking to the Osimhens, all of these guys, see, you know, Lautaro Martinez, whatever, seeing if it could be done there, and you fall back on Toney because you know he's twerking for a move and he's a safety net. I'm not sure, but you know, you can make a case of Arsenal, Spurs, Man United, Chelsea, all varying degrees needing a forward. So I'm sure Toney will be up there, man. I agree with you when it comes to unpopular opinion on replacing Martinelli. Which winger would you like? Leao, Karim Adeyemi, or Cover? Would love the Napoli done. I didn't say replacing Martinelli. I think there'll be slightly more rotation unless he plays out of his skin, which isn't a bad thing. Estavio Williams lit, man. We've been watching we watched the under-17s World Cup. So yeah, man, he's lit. All them Brazilian dons are lit. Hey, DG, good show as always. Thank you, Sheriff. Which 4 players would you sign if you're in charge of Arsenal? That's a difficult one, and one where I can't really answer, man. But just to humor you, hella names have escaped, man. It's a position we don't really need, but there's a lad at Rennes called Doué. Desire Doué or Destiny Doué. I can't say his name. Light skin guy, can play as a 10 and 8 and as winger. I'd go for him. I'd love to force the boat out for Xavi Simons. I'd love to bring in Sesko. I'd love to force the boat out for Barella. I'd get Zubamendi done. I'd see what Aston Villa are saying for Douglas Luiz. And then whether it's Osman, Ivan, Tony, Vlahovic, whatever you've got to say, getting something done up there, man. Did you see Chelsea cancel their death row contracts with unhappy players? I mean, when you're putting players on 7-8 year contracts, it's crazy. I'm never taking Rashi at Arsenal. I would to play on the left-hand side, you know, and be a backup option there, but he's going to be on big money. He's far too hot and cold and stuff like that. DG Vlahovic will be the best option for us, as Osman is expensive because we need a DM and right winger in the summer window too. To be fair, some more than others, but you'd imagine all the strikers are going to cost a crap load amount of money, man, if I'm honest. I remember when I saw the news that Mudryk signed for Chelsea, I was sitting there for an hour trying to find out that it was fake news. It was a bit annoying, but it is what it is. Saw you touch on Fabio Vieira on the collab with Babs. Do you think he could potentially benefit from a loan move, as I don't see him breaking into this team? Yeah, because minutes are currency. You're more likely to, whatever loan club this would be, you just play him, getting your confidence and your rhythm back and come back to Arsenal as a stronger player. But I would think with Fabio Vieira, you never know, but it would be a loan where you leave and you're not coming back really and truly. And it's peak for him because when you signed, you know, you had Xhaka and Odegaard playing in your positions. Right now, Kai Havertz has been signed for 65 million. On occasion played up front, but primarily playing there. And you've got Odegaard. And the thing with Fabio Vieira, you go all the way back to August, like he was impacting off the bench, doing his thing, earned his way into the team for the North London derby. Didn't pull up any trees in his start there, but was doing his thing. I think when people say Fabio Vieira to me, I would say stop. It's like he picks up these injuries, gets over these injuries, looks good in the impacts he has off the bench. Like what was it against Fulham or something way back in the season? Gets a start, then he reverts back to type, really and truly. But he's going to have to show something because, if Fabio Vieira can show me something in the left 8 row properly, then I might even change my mind in relation to a midfielder. But we need more than moments, man. Leao into a forward. I hear it, but I don't really want no more projects, man, really. Like, if we're signing a striker, I kind of want you to be a forward. Zerki in 2 years from now will cost 100 million quality player. Does look good. I ain't watched him enough to be 100% convinced. Might sound far-fetched, but if Arsenal can make the right offer, we could get Yamin Yalmal. But Arsenal would consider the sell. I think they'd be hitting the mic. I think there'd be riots at the Camp Nou if they did that, if I'm honest. I believe in Fabio, but belief ain't going nowhere. And I'm not saying we should just, every player that struggles, we should sell, but it does feel like the club needs to become a tiny bit more cutthroat and sometimes just say, you know what, it ain't worked out. And I would say, man said Osman, I'm reading two things. Fabio Vieira needs to go gym, man. You need to go gym and start eating some food. Or call Bernardo Silva, or call Santi Gazzola, or call David Silva. Guys that were small and fairly diminutive, that weren't getting brushed around in the Premier League, and see what they was doing. Osman is too much money if we want to get a few players in the door. The club's going to have to find creative solutions. With Smith Rowe likely to leave in the summer, in my opinion, which club will suit him? I think Brighton or Aston Villa will be good for him, but highly unlikely. But Spurs would be perfect for him. To be fair, I think Newcastle would be a good option. I think West Ham, they would love you. I think Brighton, based on historically what we've become attached to that. I think Villa with Emre and their project would be great. There's very few teams I don't think would do that. Leao's a project, man. He's a project. He doesn't play up front. So if you're going to put him up front, that's a project. That's a project. Even when you look at him over 90 minutes, he's quite frustrating over 90 minutes. Leao is 100% a project. 100%. I like him a lot, but he 100% would be a project, especially if you're converting him into a forward. Only going to talk about a striker when Arteta decides to sell or loan Eddie. I think Arsenal would be a good option for Smith Rowe, personally. Same, but 2 years left on your deal, not really playing. I'm the president of the Smith Rowe fan club. I've been fighting this case. I hope to be wrong, but it looks like the writing's on the wall for him and the club, really. Again, I want to be wrong. You never know in life. Things can change people, but it's not looking good, man. It's not looking good, man. It's not looking good, is it, really and truly, people? It's looking kind of peak, if I'm honest with you. I've got Stricto coming on the channel as well, people. I should release that video at like 7 or 8. So make sure the alarm's ringing. Overrated is harsh, but I think he's gassed. He's good. He's a good player, but he's incredibly frustrating. I like him. I'm having him. I feel the same way. I love Smith Rowe. Eddie, it's time to go, though. Eddie, one love, man. South London Cup, man. Leao is YouTube-tastic. His hype is bigger than what his level is. Barely scoring goals in Serie A at this moment in time, innit, as well. So we'll have to see, man. But just short of an hour, people, honestly, before we get out of here, GG, the Smith Rowe fan club can't have you losing hope. We're fighting for our lives. Bro, sometimes you have to say you're wrong, you know. You have to say you're wrong. Like, it's just, I hope to be wrong, but I mean, I hope to be wrong about Smith Rowe leaving, but it's looking like the writing's on the wall, bro. Leao's defensive work rate non-existent. Arteta's not going to want that from his wingers. So again, a project really, and I think he can be quite wasteful. If you think Martinelli's wasteful, just pre-Leao. But yeah, on that note, though, you lot's talking points, engagement, questions across YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch has been amazing. Smash the like button, people, and make sure you're taking in all the content. Turn on your notification bells and follow on the socials, because there's always content out here for you lot, people, and we keep working. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Journey to 70,000. Can we get that by the end of 2024? You lot stay blessed, stay safe, and you know, whatever you lot are doing with your morning, afternoon, evening, or night, God bless you all. I'm out.
Against this right back, Charlie.
There's always just that active red line. Defenders have been given like.